Welcome to Carnwath Farms. We've been doing a weekly series of what I've called the front porch chats. Today we're going to turn it into a front yard chat. I'm sitting in front of the front yard of the Carnwath administration, what we refer to the administration building, and right behind me is the beautiful scenic Hudson. And in fact, you know, this I think is the nicest day we've had, perhaps even all year. It looks like the nicest weekend and weekdays that we're going to have. But please come on out, you know, to Carnwath. You know, we have a lot of people here today because of the nice day, observing social distancing. You know, as we see it, dogs on the leash or under control, and just beautiful grounds. There's picnic tables. There's a lot that you can see and do out here. We're really observing in all of our parks, and I think I hope you appreciate that throughout, you know, the pandemic, we have always kept our parks and trails open, and we've maintained them. We do have people that constantly, you know, do take care of them. You know, we did have to close down our playgrounds, and those continue to remain closed, subject to the governor's ongoing orders in this area. You know, so while observing, you know, coming out here, please observe your social distancing. If you are wearing masks, we have receptacles for disposal. Same with gloves if you happen to be using anything. Families are out here right now. I just see a nice family, you know, walking down our path, you know, from up on the upper slope, you know, where we have our community gardens in the development stage. The news of the week is that Dutchess County and County Executive Marcus Molinaro has been increasing the number of testing throughout the county, and that in fact I think during the past week that since we've last talked, it's increased about 21%, and that is what is indicating some of the increase in numbers. But you know, we are doing a lot more in the way of nursing homes. You know, the county executive is testing everyone within every nursing home within the county, including within the town of Wappinger. From the statistics point of view, as I give you a recap every week, you know, since the last time we spoke, the confirmed cases have increased by 15%. But as I mentioned, the testing has also increased, you know, significantly, and that's going up, you know, by 21%. The number of active cases has, you know, gone down. Has increased slightly by 5%, and the hospitalizations have actually gone from 75 in number down to 69, so an 8% decline, and that's a good sign. As our hospitalizations continue to decline, then that's one of the indicia that, you know, the governor and county executive is using to determine how fast we can reopen. The number of recovered, you know, folks since the last time has actually increased by 58%. You know, a very good sign, up to 693. In the town of Wappinger, as I mentioned, we've seen an increase in the number of confirmed cases as a result of more active, proactive testing. We're up to 162 as of the last recorded date, which would have been on Thursday. Now, nationwide, we continue to be in very somber times, as well as throughout the state. You know, a total of more than 1 million, approaching 1,200,000, you know, infections, 65,000, approaching probably in the next day or so 70,000 deaths. New York State has had more than any other state of nearly 25,000 deaths, and still rising. Testing is expanded, you know, significantly throughout, you know, the area. And of course, the more somber note too, along with those significant deaths, is the number of jobless claims continue to rise throughout, you know, the country. I think that as we look at what has been doing, we can never be proud of, you know, the things we're doing, because you know, there could be always more, but we can be thankful. We certainly can be thankful that they're not worse than what they certainly could be. It's hard to believe things could be worse, but certainly some communities, some countries are feeling the full extent of it. What is the concern of health officials, as we've talked about before, is the possibility of a second and then a more significant third wave. The second wave is what we've been seeing in some areas that reopen too quickly, such as Southern California, where there has been a spike in the number of cases after beaches reopened and other areas were reopened. Singapore, which had been one of the premier best case examples, they opened up too quickly and they've seen 1,000 or more, a spike of more than 1,000 infections since they've done that. This is beyond their normal case. When we look at what the executives in the Washington, the state and the county are most concerned about, and we're most concerned about here in Wappinger, is that this virus will not be put to rest until there is an effective vaccination. And there is still no change on effective vaccination timetable. That's still probably 12 months to 18 months out. Where the good news has come is that there are a number of medical cures, in the sense of medicine, that helps degrade, slow down, or bring about a quicker recovery from the virus. It doesn't vaccinate you against it, it just helps in the recovery from it. Various items, as you've seen, are being tested. In fact, even within this state, over 200 laboratories that are working on this in conjunction with other organizations. The fear is that if we don't maintain our social distancing and wearing masks, cleanliness, doing things that are really first on the list, then when this virus gets more active potentially in the fall, along with the flu, as we know, in this past year, the flu during 2019, 2020 had nearly 40 million cases under best estimate, and the number of deaths, were significant at nearly 25,000 deaths, although COVID-19 has well eclipsed that at this point in time. So the combination of the two in the fall will send confusing symptoms, so we're hoping that not only will the social distancing, the masks, temperature, sanitation help reduce the amount of flu infections, but also that of COVID-19. So I think we must continue to follow, to prepare for those events, but also for our reopening as we move forward. The Dutchess County has also announced, as we mentioned before, but now it's a little bit more clear, that the election on June the 26th, that's the primary election for local elections, not for presidential. The Democratic presidential primary will not be held, will be done, they hope, entirely by absentee ballot. What's that mean? In the next few weeks, you will be receiving from the Board of Election, ballots, that are the absentee forms to submit. They're hoping that everyone actually will not turn out to vote at the polls, but actually send in their ballot, and send in their absentee registration, whether it's by mail. You'll be receiving an envelope, postage paid, prepaid, so that all you need to do is drop it in. I believe they're also going to be having the capability of phone communications. We are seeing within the state and elsewhere a lot of new developments, as I mentioned, but we're not yet out of the woods, as we say. I think the road to reopening is at a critical turn. We are seeing, even within the state, efforts to start the reopening process, but it's going to see that there will be some setbacks. But so long as we follow the guidelines that have been set by the CDC, by the governor and county executive, of wearing masks, personal hygiene, social distancing, disinfection, and taking temperatures, I believe that we'll have a much more strong chance of reopening coming ahead. And again, I'd like to remind you, if you don't have a cloth mask or if you don't have some head covering that you'd like to use when you go out, then please let me know. Please text me, email me, and then, I have a supply. We have other supplies, throughout the town. I want to remind you again that our parks, trails remain open. They are open today on this beautiful day, and they are being patrolled by our town patrol through the Sheriff's Department. So there will be, watching for the social distancing and the basic rules. Town government, continues to be open. Actually, we are, doing more things with the public, although Town Hall continues to be closed at this point until, May 30th. The board will be reviewing that as we go forward. The town board meeting is being held regularly now. We're back on our regular schedule. The next meeting will be on May the 10th at 7 p.m. Digitally. You may go to our website for access information and also for submitting, questions that you may have. The Zoning Board of Appeals met this past week, and the Planning Board, will be meeting on May the 4th. So please take, care of any questions that you might have. Please submit them. Today I'm wearing these clothing this way. I'm out in a park, but I want to emphasize a point that this season, now in the spring, is a very, very active time of the year for ticks. And none of us need to be worried about getting infected with the Lyme disease. And in fact, Senator Serino in the state has declared this as Lyme prevention and Lyme awareness, month. I wear these clothing when I go out, even when I'm out in the yard, because, some of the more important rules, when you're out there, if you can, is wear white clothing, wear tightly woven. Now, this is actually a sun UV ray retarding, effect. I put my, pants within my socks. I also have a long sleeve shirt on. That is designed to keep the ticks from getting into your skin. Now, I make my own home spray that's a combination of 2 essential oils, which are eucalyptus and lemongrass, and it's proven to be very effective. So please, when you go out, wear the proper clothing, but more importantly, check constantly for ticks, check your children, check your pets. And when you get home, make sure you check, before you go inside so you don't take it in. No reason not to come out, but just be a little bit more careful, when you do during your visits to the parks and to the trails. When we look at our, town and the events that have all impacted us, I think one of the unfortunate events is that our graduating seniors have not been able to enjoy the rites of passage, so to speak, that I and many of you have. I want to, shout out to the seniors, thank them, wish them the best of luck, and we'll see you, soon, I hope, and be able to do something townwide, to recognize our seniors as they have graduated. I'd like to thank again all of our heroes throughout the town that have been providing a variety of service. We are initiating a campaign which will have nicely set up lawn signs recognizing heroes. We're accepting nominations for people that deserve a lot of recognition, and we'll be able to get that information on what to do from our recreation and also town website. With respect to reopening, what's most important, I think, on the people's minds after their health and safety is that myself and 4 other supervisors in the local area, Fishkill, towns of Fishkill, East Fishkill, Poughkeepsie, myself, we've been working, with the county executive and other supervisors and mayors. On Thursday, we submitted a framework that takes into consideration our community's interests and needs, and in line with the governor's orders and extensions. I talk with the county executive regularly, in fact almost daily. I had a long talk with him yesterday, and he's basically adopting our framework. and going forward and looking at what and how and when we can be reopening the various aspects of our business and our community. It's not going to be a quick reopening. It will be staged, phased, based on some criteria met, but we're very concerned about particularly our small businesses, the challenges that are being faced by them, and so the plan that's being developed as we speak and will be very much involved in discussions next week is considering those various factors and how the county can go ahead and help our small businesses, our organizations that have been impacted the greatest by this pandemic. So what we're going to be trying to do is basically, as we've been getting people off of ventilators, we're going to really work to help our businesses get off of the ventilators. And we're going to, as FDR said, wage a war against the emergency. I think one of the greatest things that FDR did for our country was to seize the opportunity to fight against the emergency that was caused by the Great Depression. As we know, we actually have a greater impact economically than during the Great Depression. So starting next week, we'll be having regular updates. This communication will continue. You'll see updates on our website as to what we are doing in conjunction and coordination with other municipalities as well as the county. But we are preparing now for what I call a new normal. We'll be moving ahead. The old normal is, I think, behind us, but a new normal where I think from a town government point of view, we will be working smarter. Not harder, because actually they've been working very hard, but I think smarter in how we service our community, how we help our residents, our businesses and organizations going forward. So I want to thank you, for your patience, for your understanding and cooperation. Please come out and enjoy today, this weekend, and during the week, our beautiful scenic parks that we have open. And in connection with that, I just want to mention one thing that we've been doing for the first time in I think at least recent town memory, is that we've been preparing and now have basically a map that we're reviewing that shows all the parks, all the assets. We've updated it since the last time I mentioned it. And we're going to be placing this online, so for people that don't know where our town parks are, where some of our lands, facilities are, you'll be able to refer to this. And we're going to be using this, for grant funding, for other development plans going forward. So please enjoy, your assets that you have in the town. We continue to maintain them, so thank you. And have a great week ahead in enjoying our parks and our trails in this lovely weather. Thank you very much, and have a good day.